Happy Monday, beautiful rising. Today we're going live with a few amazing souls. We're going to discuss Vipassana meditation, the journey of going inward for 10 days straight in silence, no stimuli, all of the things. So I have them joining me now. Beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome. I'm so excited for this one. A journey it was. A journey it was. So many people have been asking questions. So we're going to get multiple different views, perspectives, gems, insight, all of the amazing things today. Beautiful. See?
Hey,
How are we feeling?
feeling amazing. Feeling
Awesome.
amazing. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. I just got out of my meditation, so I'm in the wave.
We wavy. We surfing. We out here surfing. Oh man. Oh man, my
Brother.
brother. My
There he
brother.
is. We in
He
the
brought the
building.
Malcolm X glasses. My brother
Hello.
minister. Brother
How you,
minister. Yeah.
brother Minister Rise? How y'all doing?
Oh, it's so grateful to be here with you guys.
Peace,
Okay.
peace.
Peace.
Yes, sir.
Oh, what happened?
Here we
Where's
go.
Jerome?
One more. There we go.
Did Jerome leave on my end or?
No, he is frozen. All right, here we go.
Okay, I see Celeste. I don't see Jerome anymore. Do you see
He's
Jerome?
yeah, he's frozen on my end.
Yeah, I don't see him on mine.
Uh-oh.
It's
Should,
okay.
should, should I restart it?
No. He going just send him another request.
Okay.
Hi, Sunrise.
Hi, Celeste.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
When did you guys do the Vipassana meditation?
Hi, your name is Ariana.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Sunrise.
I think we met in LA, I think.
Oh, when?
Crossing by with
Was
Elitom and Jerome, when we were there like
Oh,
a month. I think we
okay.
crossed by each
Yeah,
other
yeah,
real
okay,
quick. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I've done it twice.
Uh-huh.
Uh, one with Celeste and Jerome in 2022, and what was that, Idaho?
Yeah.
And then my first one was in Kelseyville, California, um, in 2017.
I didn't know that you went there. That's where I served.
That's where you served in Kelseyville?
Yeah.
Okay, Jerome said, okay, he's back.
Awesome. Let me invite him in here. All right.
Yeah, Kelseyville. Also, the Kelseyville one. So, Celeste, you heard the frogs? You heard the frogs in the morning? Yeah.
Like in the woods.
Yeah, we in the woods for real.
Well, nice to meet you, Ariana. Thanks
Yes.
for hosting this. These
Yeah.
are some
I
of my
think it's
favorite.
important to spread it and share it, the effects and benefits that you receive and just feel from it. Everybody deserves that.
Mhm. You just came back from your first sit?
Yeah, it's been about 2 or 3 weeks, so I've been adjusting, integrating from it still.
Where
Yeah,
did you sit?
Minneapolis.
Annapolis.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely amazing. The whole journey for sure, but
Okay, we are here now.
There we
Tap in.
go.
Oh man.
Beautiful.
Brother Minister Rise. That's got a nice ring to it, bro.
Thank you, brother Minister Rice. You know, my uncle told me he wanted me to be a pastor. I told him no back then, but I seem to be doing a whole lot of preaching on the gram. You know,
This is church.
right?
Awesome, beautiful. Well, I would
Man.
like to know what was the thing that stirred you guys into exploring the Vipassana meditation retreat?
Okay.
Okay. Who wants to
Uh,
start? Who wants to start? Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
start. I'll start. I'll start. Me.
Yeah, and
Me.
someone also asked what a sit is for those of us that don't know. So if you could explain a sit as well.
So sit is just like meditation, and so in Vipassana, it's a meditation retreat, and you meditate like very long every day, and so they say you can either sit or serve. And sitting means you're actually attending the course and you're doing the meditation. Serving means you attend the course and you're more so serving the other people who are doing the meditation and who are sitting the meditation. And that's, I'm sure everybody could explain a little different too. And so what got me into it is in 2017 I was real heavy, getting deeper and deeper into meditation and like spirituality and stuff, and my life was evolving and changing. And I had just so happened to, me and my friend Stephen Marcus Relaford, we were in the Bay Area, and somebody had told us about Vipassana, and we was just like, oh, what? And so they told us about the retreat, how it's a meditation retreat, and it's free and donation based, and you just get there, and they gave us a little rundown of the course, and then we just signed up. You know, we just signed up. We didn't know if we would get accepted or not because there was so many people applying, and yeah, we got accepted into the Kelseyville one in 2017, and um, we didn't really know what to expect. I mean, we heard like a rundown of the course, but we didn't know what to expect. And then we went there, and yeah, it was life changing. Like 10 days, really 11 days, but 10 days meditating, silent retreat, in nature. Kelseyville is deep in the woods. There's, like I mentioned earlier, you can hear the frogs early in 4 a.m., the natural frog sounds. And, that's what got me into Vipassana. And then once I went once, I was like hooked. And then, like I said, then Celeste and Jerome, we went in 2022. It feel like just yesterday. It's crazy that it was 2022. It feel like it was just the other. There's no way it's been almost 4 years. It's crazy. And yeah, and then we went again, and yeah, I'm kind of itching to go again now. I'm itching to go, ready to go. But that's me. That's how I got into it.
Beautiful, beautiful, awesome. Celeste.
So I actually had a friend that had been attending courses over the years, and it was very like everyone should at least go to one in their life. And the first time she had told me about it, I was just like, wow, no eye contact and no writing, no nothing. And I was like, I don't think I could do that. And probably 2 years after that point, I was actually in a place of like curiosity of like, oh, actually, what if I could do that? What does that look like? And so she was in Spain at the time, and I was going to go visit her, and things worked out and it was kind of during COVID and stuff. And so like the doors were about to close for like traveling during COVID. And then she had said, oh, there's a Vipassana retreat, but it's like, I was going in August, I think. And the Vipassana was a maybe in November. And to me, that was like the push to quit my job and just go to go sit Vipassana. And so I quit my job, and then I went to Spain it was like 3 months. You know, you can only go without a visa for 3 months. So I was like, okay, Vipassana, I'm going to apply, and that's it. Long story short, the Vipassana thing that other people were going to put together was not technically a Vipassana course. It was people doing yoga and doing all these other things. And so it was kind of a pivot that we had to do of like, oh, these people said it was going to be Vipassana, but it wasn't. And so I actually applied to a course around the same time near Barcelona. And it was pretty last minute, I guess. And I was on the wait list. So I took a train from the west side of Spain, Galicia, to the east side of Spain near Barcelona, not knowing if I was going to get in. And so I was on the wait list. They let me know, you're first on the wait list. If anyone cancels, then, you know, we'll call you. So, and it was the night before that the course started, and they called me and they're like, someone canceled. And I was like, I'm here, I'm ready, let's go.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so I went, and yeah, it was life changing. I had never been in silence like that before. I had probably sat for 30 minutes or an hour before then, and like in preparation for it. And yeah, it just took me to a whole other place, and I stuck with the practice. And then I met Sunrise. I think I saw him for the first time like in line at a vegan truck at Lightning in a Bottle that summer in 2022. And we started connecting where we both had sat one course at that point, and we were like, wait, what? We both sat one course? Like, how cool would it be to go sit together? So we planted the seed and got our exchanged phone numbers or whatever, Instagram or something. And we didn't stay in contact really. Like, we just kept being butterflies. And then like 2 months later, we ran into each other at Long Beach Festival, and he was sitting in the grass with Jerome. And so then I went up to him and I was like, Sunrise? And he's just like, yeah. And then we started talking about Vipassana, and then Sunrise is like, Jerome, Vipassana, let's go. And we were all like, let's go. And so, yeah. And then at that point we organized it. So in 2022, in November, like we all went to Idaho and sat together. So yeah, that's how it started. Me and my friend knew it. It was a long time coming. I did it and then ran into Sunrise, and then together with Jerome. So yeah, we all did it together.
Wow. You had unwavering faith traveling through Spain and Barcelona and stuff too. That's command right there.
Yeah, I'm so glad I did too. It was life changing.
That's beautiful. Awesome. Awesome. Jerome?
Yeah, and thank you. You know, Ariana, I love how you put that, you know, Celeste had unwavering faith, you know. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that unwavering, you know, for sure. Because, you know, those are, I mean, those are some of the skills that you need when you're doing something of this magnitude, you know, sitting for 10 hours a day for 10 days, you know. You got to have unwavering faith. I mean, I developed some unwavering characteristics. We developed definitely, you know, like when I was, you know, oh my gosh, you know, Sunrise, every time we were passing each other, it just go.
bro, I'm trying my hardest not to make eye contact because me and Jerome just be laughing. We just be laughing.
Oh man, it was like that was a challenge. That was a challenge. Like there would be times he would get up after a meditation, he would look over, and you just like, you know, you try not to, you know, breach the icon, but it just you could feel, you know, you could feel like we're going through it, you know, that we're in the trenches. We're in the trenches,
To
you
say the
know.
least.
Yeah. You know, so it was so wonderful to have my very first time be among friends, you know, be among people who are doing it with you. You're not alone, you know, you're not alone. I mean, you're with yourself. It is a me, myself, and I type of experience. You know, you can't really rely on anybody. You can't, you know, lean on any shoulders, but you know, just to be in the experience with other people definitely, I think, changed it, you know, for me. If I would have had to do it just all on my own, I think it would have been a different experience. But knowing that I was going through the fire, you know, the refiner's fire with others, you know, it meant a whole lot. It meant a whole lot. So it was my very first experience. It's still been my very first experience. I haven't sat twice like Celeste and Sunrise, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. You know, I was kind of like on the fence, but I was still curious. I was still open. But you know, Celeste was so excited. She was just so, you know, just so gung ho about it. I was like, how bad could it be? You know, like, you know, she's like, let's go sit. You know, I still remember. I will never forget when I got off the plane. Like when I got to the airport in Utah and like Sunrise, you came, like we linked up, everybody linked up, we clicked up, and everybody was like, we're going, and I could hear Celeste chanting like Vipassana, 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 and we're like, she's chanting, you know, in just such an excited way to just go, you know, and go sit down. Like we're so happy to just be, you know what I mean? So it was, you would have thought we were going to a parade or something, or we were going to some concert, you know, with like a big band on stage, and you would have thought we were fired up to be going to just, you know, be on fire for this, but we were going to just, you know, just decompress, de-stress, and just dump all of the layers of everything, like all of the drama, all of the trauma, like everything, you know, to just unwind and unravel everything. And I mean, I had no idea really what I was in for until, I think until after day three. Once day three came, and you know, you hear Goenka, the third day is over. You have 7 more days to work ardently, diligently, vigilantly, continuously.
Bro, stop. You're throwing smacks. Bro, how are you doing it so good? How are you so good at it?
Continuously, like work hard, work. And he just kept drilling in, you know, this perception of this is work. You're gonna be working. You are here to work. And so yeah, I was like, okay, there's no escape. There's no escape. We're in the mountains. It's snowing out here. You can see the snow bunnies running out here. I'm in my sandals. Everybody thought I was crazy, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I would have had it any other way. So I learned a whole lot, and yeah, I would love to continue going around the room and just hear from people's experiences, because I know Ariana, you had some transcendental, like some really interesting experiences, not only with yourself but amongst others that really breached the gap of the metaphysical realm. So I would love to hear about yours experiences as well.
Yeah, so I did go alone, so it was a little different. But well, for one, I just want to say I think it is so powerful because in the day-to-day reality, we don't have the opportunity to really sit in that aspect and to be able to really observe all that is going through our mind on a day-to-day basis, you know, to really observe what it's like to be in your body because we're constantly going. So that was a big thing for me to actually be able to finally just sit. It was so much gratitude and peace to just that, even though, you know, like you're going through the emotional roller coaster, there's uncomfortable things coming up, but just the aspect of me being able to just be, you know, we're human beings, but often we are not just being. We're doing. And so yeah, in the sit, I found it very difficult, honestly, like you said, to not make eye contact with other people and to not communicate, especially when there are people around you breaking down and crying and you can feel them going through things. And it's like, I'm going through this too. I can, like, you know, I feel you because I'm facing the same, I'm in the trenches right with you. You know, we're walking through it together. And so that was very hard for me in some aspects to be able to just observe and witness someone in that, but then also coming back to, you know, like the non-attachment and realizing that that same universal essence is within them, giving them the medicine and the messages and things that they need. You know, it's nothing we can, it's not our job to exchange that for one another. You know, that's what we came here to do, the internal journey. But I experienced a lot of telepathy on a deep level. I mean, one story that was very interesting was it was the first 3 days specifically, and it was day three. I had a girl next to me, and so you know when you first get to the retreat, you're allowed to talk to people for the first like, you know, depending on how early you get there. So I had actually spoken to this girl for like 20 minutes before we sat, and I was like, oh, I really like you. That sucks that we can't talk. So I already knew we had, you know, like a good connection, but she was actually next to me in the sit. And so the first 3 days when I was meditating, I kept getting thoughts to my mind about pregnancy. And I'm knowing to myself, like, there's literally no way possible that I can be pregnant. So I'm like, where are these thoughts coming from, etc. But it just kept coming in like in like a fear perspective. And then come to find out when we actually broke the fast and I was talking to her, she was telling me, she was like, yeah, those first 3 days, I was so scared that I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, really, like it was it was very interesting to see that aspect of it. There was another time where this one's silly, but you know they teach you with some desserts sometimes, and you know to see that one light up your day. And so there was some chocolate chip cookies, some vegan cookies, and I already had a couple, so I was like, I'm not gonna go get some more. But so I went outside on the porch and I was drinking my tea. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I want a cookie, I want a cookie. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I love playing games with this world, you know, like asking is given. So I was like, you know what? Bring me a cookie. Like, if I'm meant to have a cookie, the cookie's gonna come to me. And this girl that I hadn't spoken to prior or anything, she literally just came out with the napkin, put the cookie down next to me, and walked away. And I was like, okay. So there was many times where that, and I was even trying, honestly, myself not to kind of play around with the telepathy, because same thing. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm here to go, you know, within. But it was very, you know, it's natural. It's something that does happen in our day to day. But once again, our minds are very clouded and distracted a lot of the time. And we don't really have the opportunity to like nurture that and invest into that. But yeah, that was a very interesting thing to experience for sure.
My gosh. And what wasn't there one more thing with the weight?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there was this one girl. She was so smart. I mean, she came with everything you could think of. Like, she had a weight with her. And, you know, technically that wasn't, I don't even think that was necessarily allowed because you're not supposed to bring any personal practices or workout or anything. But I remember one day, you know, she was walking through the woods and I saw her lifting the weight. And this was like maybe day 4, day 5. And I had not moved my body like that in days. And I was like, I would love to touch that weight. Like I would love to. And so I was like, but I'm not gonna talk to her. Like that was my one commitment. Like no matter what, I'm not breaking my fast. I'm not talking to anybody. Like I'm a certified yapper. Part of the reason I went there was to learn how to, you know, shut up and observe sometimes. So I was like, we're not doing it. But so boom, same thing. I was like, you know what? I want the weight. Give me the weight. I'm playing with the abilities, bro. She turns around and she rolls the weight towards me and then she just bows. And I'm like, it was that easy. And so yeah, multiple different experiences where it just you see the interconnectedness of all of us and the abilities that we have naturally, but once again, very suppressed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's powerful. It's funny you said certified yapper because that was one of my concerns my first time because I'm a certified yapper too. Gold, platinum. I'm a platinum gold 2 times yapper, just nonstop. You feel me? And I was like, how am I going? I was more worried about the talking in my first time than the meditating. I'm like, I'm gonna be able to get through the meditating. I'm like, but no talking. You know what I mean? But yeah, yeah, no, that's very powerful. I've also felt like I felt connected to a lot of people's energies during the practice and stuff. And yeah, that's very, very powerful. And I'm like, they gave y'all cookies? When did they give you? You got a cookie?
No,
I'm
they
Yeah. I was like, where were these?
like, where was our cookie?
I'm telling you, like the food they served, I was actually very surprised. I mean, there were multiple different options daily, and every other day they made us desserts. There was vegan cookies, there was vegan chocolate cake. There was some type of tropical dessert I'd never even heard of before. Like we had an overflow and abundance of options, which I thought was so just beautiful. Like I said, because everyone there is serving, they're not getting paid for it. It's coming from a genuine place of I feel this good. I would love for you to feel this good. Like I know how powerful this is. I want you to taste it too, you know, so that even the energy and the vibration and the frequency that is going into it, that is being served from it is very beautiful.
Wow. Wow. Oh man. You know, while we were speaking, Nita has been asking some questions over here. She had one question, Nita, shout out to Nita. She said, "Do you think people can see benefits like this from solitary confinement?"
I think you can, but it's different because the way of the intention and the curation. I feel like Vipassana is something you go to yourself, like you surrender yourself to it, whereas solitary confinement is something that you're put in based off of whatever you've done, or maybe you're innocent or whatever. And I think those intentions kind of shift the experience, but nonetheless, if you're in solitary confinement and you're meditating doing the work, I do think you can see the same benefits because you are kind of like confined from, it's kind of parallel, you know, you're kind of confined away from society, no phones, no nothing. You don't really know what day it is. You only know like what time it is and how many days you've been doing it. And so I think it's kind of similar but different based off of the curation of the confinement.
Yeah. I'd love to know if we could go around and say what was one of the biggest realizations or breakthroughs or just those profound moments that brought a lot of wisdom that stuck heavy within you guys, if we want to go around and share.
Yeah. Celeste?
I'd like to add one more thing about the solitary confinement is I agree with Sunrise when it comes to intention. It's almost like punishment versus purpose.
Yeah.
And the whole vibe of like having people serve you coming from such a loving place versus like solitary confinement of people like serving them like food that's not really food, and that's a whole other vibe and you can feel it. And I want to say that Goenka actually set up programs for people in prisons to practice Vipassana. So
Yeah.
like if you look, once you sit a Vipassana course, you get access to a portal that has all of these documentaries and talks and meditations and stuff and so on. There's plenty of documentaries of different prisons that they've gone to and have done Vipassana, and they have interviews with people that were imprisoned that experienced Vipassana and had a whole other transformation. So shout out to Goenka for giving that like option to people that were being treated, you know, poorly. So yeah, yeah, so much respect for spreading that specifically to those places.
Yeah.
So a takeaway for me, my first sit, I think, was more so, like you said, like the first time I ever really stopped and like actually was just being. And for me, that first one was like, wow, I am my dream life partner. Like I actually got to feel that within myself of like, wow, I love myself. Like that's who I am. Like when no one's watching and when I'm not performing and and it's just me, like, wow, there she is. And I had this new element of self-love for myself. And then the second sit was way more challenging. I feel like the first sit was a high off of the, wow, I love myself. And that's what kind of became my main focus. And it was just so new and exciting. But the second sit was really like focusing on the technique. It's like I already knew, like I already had the high in the first round. And then the second one was like, okay, now what? Like, here we go again. And I was, every time my brain would want to go to all the things that I want to do, all my dreams, because now I have space and I love myself. It's like, I would come back and practice the technique and all this stuff came up and it was just like, whoa, this is so like challenging and also beautiful. So the second sit was pretty challenging in that sense, but it was helpful to actually focus on the technique more and it was beneficial in a lot of ways. And then serving, I thought that serving was going to be less transformational for whatever reason, what I was thinking at that time. Because as a server, you're only sitting, and this is granted, there's enough servers for it to be able to be possible, but servers are only sitting 2 to 3 times a day. So 2 or 3 hours versus people who are sitting, they're sitting 10 hours a day, just 1 hour break, 1 hour break, 1 hour lunch, and then sit again and then break. So, but serving, like you're cooking the food and you're cleaning, and then you go for the Dhamma sit, and then you come back, and then it's preparation, and then cook and clean, and even during discourse when you're learning the technique or whatever, like you have the option to go there, or if there's stuff to do, then you stay, and the servers will rotate if there's enough things that are getting done with how many servers there are. So with that serving experience, it was completely different than sitting, but I want to say that it was just as transformational. Like giving back to people, knowing I had already sat and I had known what it was like to sit, to give that to other people, and then talk to them afterwards and see them in their little glow, and then be so grateful that like we had created that space for them to that like safety, that love, like in the food and everything. They were just so grateful, and to be able to give that service was. Oh, like someone had told me previously, they're like, you don't understand Vipassana until you serve. And in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But when I served, I was like, oh, I see what you mean. This is like the full circle part of it. And So like I told myself, I'm like, yo, from now on, if I ever, it can't just be a sit, 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 sit. It's got to be a sit, sit, serve, sit, sit, serve. Like I love serving, so that was my highlights for each time that I went to a center. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like he said, filling up the buckets. It fills up a
Mhm.
different bucket.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, for me, on just to answer another question, since we're talking about the serving, Nita said, do people normally hand you food items or are they supposed to keep to themselves? The food items are placed by the servers and you just go and get your food and everybody's kind of just, we're all knowing we're not supposed to communicate. So the servers, they provide, and yeah, shout out to the servers because the food is phenomenal. The tea, the snacks, like it's very high quality food and it's very like you could feel the love and the intention. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
that's how the food is served. But for me, it was so like one of my biggest takeaways or like aha moments or epiphanies was during my first sit, and it was basically realizing at a very deep internal level how pain is attached to experience and how stored trauma and emotion comes up as pain within the body, right? And so this kind of touches on the other question too when they say can you elaborate on technique. You can't, you just got to go, but you kind of can. And so like they have you meditate and you're like constantly scanning your body. And so during my first sit, when Gawinka was telling us to observe the pains, the literal physical pains that come up during meditation, like not emotional, but like the literal, oh, my back, my knee, because there's pains that's coming up while you're meditating. And there's like, and I remember my first sit, I was really working on like observing the pain and not identifying with the pain. And when you observe the pain, you see how the pain arises, it reaches a plateau. And if you don't identify with it and you just observe it, it it goes through this process. I don't want to say quicker, but in a quicker way than if you're like, ow, my leg is hurting and why am I feeling this? And you're attaching yourself to the pain. And so it was challenging for me to like observe it without attaching at first during my first sit. But then when I started being able to do it a lot more and a lot easier of just observing the pain and not attaching myself to it, I found that every time some sort of pain would come up and I would just observe it, once it would like dissipate, because it kind of like dissipates, it like disperses after a while. I realized that once the pain would come up and start to like between that process of reaching its plateau and dissipating, I would have a flashback of an experience, right? An experience that either I remember and it's at the top of my head, or an experience that I didn't even know I completely never thought about in years. And so I started to realize how, oh, my bad. But I started to realize how, oh, these experiences that we have store in our body if we don't release the emotion, and they literally come up as pain. And for an example, I always say this because it's so simple, but it was such a memorable thing for me during my first sit. I remember I had this pain in my leg and I was just observing, and it started to like come up really hard, and I'm like, it was starting to challenge like to not attach to it, but I still stayed there, and then it dissipated. But it dissipated. I had this right after I had this flashback when I was like in first grade, and like it's so silly, but somebody had took my pencil and I think had like broke it or something. Like they were using it and they broke it, but I really liked the pencil. And I was really upset. Like little me was really upset about that. And I'm telling the teacher, like they broke my pencil, da da da, da. And the teacher's just like, here's, you're in the, if a kid comes to you like my pencil's broke, you're just like, here's another pencil, like, go sit down, do your work. And but little me, I guess, was like felt dismissed, and I was really upset about that pencil, and so I wasn't able to express myself because the teacher just kind of like dismissed me, and that memory and experience has stored in my body. Now, granted, I'm grown at this point. I haven't thought about elementary school in forever. So when I was having this pain in my leg, and then this flashback happened of this scene, and I'm just like observing, and then I'm just like, oh, it's okay. Like I'm telling myself, like little me, like it's okay, bro. Like you're good, And then the pain dissipated from my leg. It really tied the connection of how experience literally stores in the body. So that was one of my biggest like epiphanies of Vipassana when I first went, was like, oh, we got to release this trauma because it doesn't go anywhere if you don't release it. It literally stays in. And so that was one of the biggest epiphanies for me.
Awesome. Awesome, man. What a revelation, man. The all the sensations, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Like I remember we would go to the teachers and the teacher would be like, how are the sensations? How are the sensations? And one of the guys was like, "Oh my God, it's excruciating! Like all of this pain and just in my body, and we're just sitting still in the aditana and the sitting still, the strong sit, and it's just excruciating. I feel like my legs are gonna snap and break, and it's just, oh my God, it's unbearable." And he's like, "Okay, this too shall pass. Like, just realize it's not gonna be like that forever." And then, the next guy, he's like, "How are the sensations?" And the next next guy, complete opposite, he's like, "Oh my God, it's amazing. Like this is glorious. I don't know why I never came here before. This is blissful. I'm on cloud nine. I'm in heaven. Just, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's euphoric." And he's like, "Okay, just understand that this too will change." Like this is going to change. Like don't get attached to the good and don't get attached to the not so good. Don't get attached to the comfortable and don't get attached to the not so comfortable. Don't get attached, and just remaining detached was just such a practice. And I mean, for me, some of the revelations definitely was that the this too shall pass, the impermanence nature, the understanding that even if it got to that peak level, that plateau, that you know it does pass away. Like if you just stick with it, if you just sit in it and you don't, like you said, Sunrise, don't identify with it, don't go through the rigmarole of like, oh my gosh, why is this like this, and why is this way, and you just allow it to pass like a cloud in the sky, or
Mm-hmm.
like a bird flying by. It doesn't have to, you don't have to let it make a nest on your head. You can let the bird fly by instead. And so what, Celeste?
Spit your bars. You spit. You
Throwing in the
always
rhymes,
spit.
no big deal. It's typical Jerome. I'm listening.
I'm listening.
Typical,
I like what you
typical.
doing, bro. You cooking. You cooking.
No. But oh, speaking of cooking, it's interesting because the whole time I was fasting during and the guidelines strictly said
No.
no fasting, right? So as soon as I seen that, we're in Idaho, we're in Lava Hot Springs. There's no escape. I didn't even drive here. This is, I rode here with 5 friends, right? So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I didn't say anything, I just zipped my mouth, and I had the Bengal spiced tea and lemon water, and that was what I had for all those 10 days. So they offered, there were different types of tea, but I had the Bengal spice, and Celeste knows this because after this has been like a running joke. Like she'll give me some Bengal spiced tea, and I just be like, "Oh, Celeste, my heart, my heart," because that's what I survived on for those 10 days. But
Wow.
I knew that I had been liquid for so long. If Sunrise and Celeste were to start fasting during that, it would have been tougher on them. But if I was to stop fasting, it would have been tougher on me. You know, I wouldn't have made it if I had started eating food. I wouldn't have made it through that experience because I had been already liquid for so long. So it just didn't make any sense to start now. But I couldn't let them know that. You know what I mean? Like, so I had to find like little ways. And at first, you know, Sunrise was in the other room because he had already sat before. So Sunrise, you didn't see me in the on the outer deck. You were in the inner deck with the veterans, you know, with the veterans. But on the outer deck, there was really good food. It was really good food, but I would just take maybe like a bowl of rice or a bowl of something. I would take a spoon and I would stir it up, and then I would take my tea and I would sip. Then I would stir it up. Then I would sip my tea. Then I would stir it up, and I would. Nobody cared. Like nobody was watching me, you know, not eating. Nobody cared. But I did have to take away my silverware, and that's what I realized. Like all I had to do, I didn't even have to do all that. I was doing too much. I just had to remove the silverware, and then they knew, oh, he must have eaten something. Let's replace it, you know? So that's really all I had to do. The other thing was, you don't know how much time you spend on like nonsense things until you have nothing to spend it on, you know? When you're in a situation where there's no talking, there's no touching, there's no misconduct, there's no contact, there's no technology, there's no TV, there's no Netflix, there's no entertainment, there's no social media, there's no scrolling, there's no reading, there's no writing, there's no like when you're in that situation and all you have is you and you come out of that situation, everything is more stimulating. Everything. Like I was scared to pick up the phone when they gave us our phone back. I was like,
Yeah.
do I want to go back? You know, it was
Yeah.
like a choice. You almost had a choice, you know? Every day we pick up our phones, it's like you don't even think about it. It's so automatic. But when you step out of a 10-day sit, you're like, oh my God, this was so automatic. Like, this is unnatural. This is not natural, you know? So that was very illuminating to me, just seeing how we interact with technology, seeing how all the sounds were more loud and the colors were more popping out. Like everything was more vibrant and sensitive and just more just overall stimulating when you walked out of that experience. And then the last thing was a big one for me. This was the last thing was you don't realize what people are going through. Like you really don't realize what people are growing through all around you. And I realized this because, you know, I was roommates with this gentleman who normally, I mean, you would look at him just like an everyday citizen. He was just, you know, big buff guy, strong guy. He works out. He's got a big mustache and he looks like he's got himself put together. And I mean, we went through the whole sit silent next to each other in our beds in the dormitory. And then afterwards, it almost felt like we knew each other, even though we introduced each other after it was all over and we could talk again. But during those days, uh, even though we weren't supposed to journal, he was journaling. And I wasn't going to tell anybody, like, I'm not going to tell anybody, like, let him, you know, work through whatever he needs to work through. But curiosity did get the better of me. Right? So I just kind of wanted to know, like, where's his head at? Where's his mind at? So I did take a little, you know, I took a little peek and I just noticed, I just like realized that you have no idea what people are going through. Like this guy seemed like, you know, he seemed so stable, you know, from the outside looking in. But just without revealing all the stuff that was in his journal, his mind was like a maelstrom, like a hurricane. Every day he was wondering, like, why am I this way? Why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? You know, like, why can't things just be normal? Like, why does it have to be like this? Like, I'm so screwed up. I'm so effed up, you know, and you would never know it. You know, on the outside, he was just a regular guy. So that gave me so much more compassion and so much more empathy and just so much just more grace, you know, not only for yourself but to everyone else who you have no idea are growing through so many things that they're just trying to put one foot in front of the other and make it to the next day, you know, make it to the next day. So that was a revelation for me, for sure.
Yo, Jerome,
What?
I was watching you during the cafeteria because I'm like, I know he fasting, and
Yeah.
so I was trying to. And then I remember the days. I remember when you switched to you started using your silverware. I remember, and I'm like, and I look because you'll see you'll see Jerome. He'll get a bowl. You know, other people they stuffing themselves. They like
Yeah.
putting rice. They making plates. And then I wouldn't stuff myself because I don't like the uncomfortable. But yeah, you'll see Jerome. He get the bowl. He hit that little curious look. Get a little one little teeny scoop of rice, one little soup, one little thing, and then you just see. Because there's times I will. You right. I was in the veteran hour, but I will walk out sometimes when I'm done and go take a walk, and then I'll just see Jerome spinning his spoon, sipping his tea. I'm like, I know that boy ain't eating none of that. It's like I know he fasted, and it just made me laugh because I was
Yeah.
like, it just made me laugh because I was like, I thought the same thing that you thought. Like, it'd probably be more uncomfortable to start eating than you've been fasting so
Oh
long, you
yeah.
can't break a fast right there, especially in that environment.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. But what about you, Ariana? What's your biggest takeaways?
There's a few. One of them, I genuinely felt like my heart chakra just bursted open in a way
Mm.
like never before. You know, every single night when we would sit through his teachings, he would say something that would really, really hit home. And I'd be like, wow, is he like going through my mind while I'm experiencing this? Like it was beautiful. But I remember one of those hours of many meditation, I cried for so long because I realized the universal suffering, and
Mm,
it really hurt, because when we're younger, like we all have that relation to the fact of like when we're younger, we're taking things in personally, like you said, the pencil, etc. It's how we grow up, and so I really realized on a deep level, like, wow, everything I've ever felt any type of way for someone with, on the other end of it is so much ignorance and pain on their end, like so much of it. And at core, we all want connection. We all love one another. Like that's the core basis of all things. So I feel like my heart just genuinely expanded open in a way just like never before, because I gained a different level of compassion for just everybody.
mm,
Just seeing the ignorance, even my own, sitting there for that long, you start to see what was driving the act of some of your decisions in certain times, and it's like, wow, like even just the such strong attachment and identification to the persona, switching from the observing state to the reacting state, just observing how many times, not like I said, not only myself but others, we've reacted onto one another and just caused that pain, caused that throw up. And he even said, as an example, someone came to Buddha trying to yell at him, trying to argue with him, and Buddha's just sitting there calm, sitting there with compassion. And he's like, why don't you care? And Buddha's like, well, if I give you a gift, if you give me a gift and I don't take it, who does it belong to? It still belongs to you. And I've heard that, like I've read that before, but to hear him say that and just be in that midst of that deep transformation of the silence and stuff, once again, it just hit very differently. And so I'm like, wow, a lot of the stuff that we're carrying it's not ours. It never
mm,
was, but we
mm,
internalized it so much because even just the attachment to the I, and just forgetting, like, and that's the whole, it's beautiful, like, it's the whole journey that we're on, is just constantly coming back to the remembrance of we're just observing, like we are
mm,
observing this is not all that is, I'm not just this, and
mm,
so experiencing the observing state in a deeper level, and just like you said with the pain, I found myself accepting impermanence over and over and over again. I mean, that was like a daily thing I had to come to, and just in every single aspect of realizing, another thing they said is the root cause to all addiction. It's not the external thing. It never was. It's our addiction to craving,
mm,
or our addiction to the aversion. And so even once again, going through a life review, trying to bring my mind back to the present, but I'm like, wow, it's all about sensation. If we can just work with the sensations of the body and understand that we're just observing, it shall pass, just as everything, walking through nature every single day. That's all you could do, right? That's all you
mm,
could do on your break. So I'm looking at nature in a different perspective as well. Everything is resetting. So I'm just witnessing the trees. I'm witnessing the branches. I'm witnessing all these things that I'm like, it surrounds us everywhere all the time. It's our clinging to everything, to even the aspect of like life, you know? So that was very profound. And then I remember one day just sitting drinking tea on the front steps, and I'm witnessing the world in front of me. And I don't, it's hard to even put into words what you describe, you know, but I genuinely felt like I was walking through the veil, like looking down at my physical body, but also like observing the fact that I'm in it. And so once again, on a deep level, I'm sitting here realizing through not talking how much we just blurt out stuff for no reason. Like whatever comes to our mind, we're just speaking it. We're just to fill space and silence. When in reality, nothing is ever silent, and that's one of the most beautiful things. You know, the ability to hear that receptive connection from the higher aspect of you, from all that is very clear when you get in that silence. And so when I was sitting there observing the nature in front of me, I'm like, wow, every single day, all the thoughts that come up, how they're just coming from the past or ideas of the future. Like the fact that our mind will just try to take us everywhere but here. And like I said, it's, you know, the subconscious is over 90% of our thoughts. So it made me look at reality so different, because when you're able to yoke yourself into a level of presence, I feel like you're actually living versus most of the time on a day-to-day basis, how much are we really living in the now? Because we just get so lost in the thoughts about the present, or like, oh, where am I going, the goal I'm trying to achieve, all these things. And so to be in that level of presence was something I never experienced before, honestly. And it was very like the interconnectedness. It was very, like I said, it genuinely felt like almost like an out of body experience, just literally feeling and seeing all things existing simultaneously. Because even the concept of time, you know, there was something that happened. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared, y'all. So I remember, like, right before I went in, my mom had called me and she was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the government's shutting down." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, kudos, like 10 days of meditation. I go, whatever that means, right? Like, I'm on my last 5 minutes on my phone, like, okay, cool, bye, whatever. So day 5, we're sitting in a meditation, and this was one of like the 2-3 hour ones, like an hour and a half in, maybe, who knows? We couldn't foresee the concept of the time, right? There's alarms that are going off, mind you. It's like purge sound alarms. I've never heard that in my life, right? I open my eyes so quick, nobody's moving. And I'm like, oh, y'all got that. Like, I'm out of here, right? I got up out the meditation hall so quick, and I ran to go grab a jacket, and I found the volunteer that, like, you know, the volunteer that takes care of all the women and all the men. And I was like, Joe, like, we gotta go. Like, what's going on? Like, we need our phones. Like, she's like, oh, that's just the monthly alarm sound check we do. And I'm like, they don't do this where I'm from. And mind you, there was another girl from Ukraine there, same thing. She's shaking on the floor, freaking out. Like, we really thought that there was some type of like purge or something crazy going on. And so that was definitely really interesting.
Whoa, Ariana, remind people where you from, because you said they don't do this where I'm from.
Well, you know, I'm from California, but I live in Maryland, and they don't do that. I've never in my life I've never heard that. And so, but you know what that taught me once again. I felt so silly after she said that to me. I went and sat back down. I did my breathing, and I was like, look at you. You didn't want to accept the impermanence. Because even if it was, what are you going to do? Like, what? It's just what it is. It's just what it is. Like, what? So I'm like, oh, I was clinging to whatever idea of, like, you know, just the practice was continuously teaching me within itself the whole time. But, you know, just accepting, like I said, and it's just, I feel like it's a lifelong practice, because it's, for example, you know, things like children or like your mother. It's like, you know, it's a lifelong practice for you to be able to accept that everything is impermanent, and constantly observe yourself, like genuinely, minute by minute. Like, am I clinging to this? Am I trying to run from this? It's a lifelong, I feel like, integration, honestly.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Man.
Tremendous. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yep.
love how you said, Ariana, like, what are you gonna do? Even if it is, what are you gonna do? You know?
Accept it, right? Like,
Accept
Hey,
it. Like,
it's crazy
yeah.
sometimes. It's crazy sometimes when you in a meditation hall with everybody and you open your eyes and you see everybody still, and it's like, oh, I'm in a room with a bunch of statues. Hold on, let me close my eyes again. Let me close my eyes. My bad. My bad.
right? No, right, right. You know, it's even like I mean, we understand this, yes, but it's funny. I feel like being at the Vipassana retreat, everything I've come to realize in my own meditations was just enhanced and even proven, like on a deeper level, right? And so even in that aspect, when the alarm had went off, I thought to myself, I don't even know what day of the week it is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't keeping track of the days of the week. I didn't have an alarm clock in the room. I never really knew the time. I didn't know the day of the week. Truth be told, I didn't even know I forgot the state I flew into. I mean, when I tell you guys, I was so just like in my own realm. I was like, wow, well, if anyone even tried to help me, I don't know what's just like, you can't even help me. I don't know what's going on. But in that time, once again, the concept of time. It's like that dissolved on an even deeper level. You know, it's like it's only ever the now, and the amount of times that the human aspect of us can try to you know, we feel lost because we're behind on time, or like, oh, it's just the whole concept of time definitely shattered in a whole different level in that experience, and just seeing like the interconnectedness of like the quantum realm is genuinely just right here, right now. You know.
How many days for you did it take for time to dissipate? For me, by day 3, I already didn't know what day of the week it was anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I would say day three. I feel like for everybody, day three is when it really kicks in. Like even in the terms of like, you know, like a lot of times people that fast, just day three is usually the hardest. That's when like everything is resetting within our incarnate vessel. So I feel like day three is when things really start to hit everybody on that deep level, and you realize like, wow, I'm here for what, 8 more days, seven, 8 more days. I mean, there's no going back now. No, even he said to walk away from a Vipassana retreat would do more damage because you already started the surgery in your mind. You already opened the wounds. You know, you already opened yourself up for all that childhood trauma, all those deep memories, all that pain in the body to come up. To walk away would be doing yourself more disservice because now you don't know how to finish the surgery. You don't know how to operate on yourself. You don't know how to navigate yourself through the blood that is coming out, you know?
Mm. What an analogy. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like how do you finish the surgery once it's been opened, you know? The procedure, it must get finished, you know? I just one thing came up for me and I really wanna just put this out there before I forget it, is and what Celeste was saying earlier about how you don't know until you've served. Like you don't know until you've served, like what it really, really means. And you know, there's an idea that we have of the leaders, you know, and I mean, I had a feeling after I left that service is its own reward, and service doesn't need applause. Like you don't need anybody to clap for you because you served. You don't need like it's the reward in of itself, and I saw it demonstrated by one of the leaders. I forget the gentleman's name. I remember you said, I think Celeste was the lady named Debbie, or what was the lady's name?
Deb, yeah.
Deb. So I forget the gentleman. Sunrise, do you remember our leader's name?
I thought his name was like John or something.
John? Maybe.
I I don't know. I just know that man was teaching this meditation, and then I looked up and I seen him building the meditation hall. We like,
There we go. There
yeah,
we go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
was-
oh, there's people doing construction, and then we're looking. I'm like, is that John doing?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Is he building
exactly.
the meditation hall?
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So John, yeah. So John was what was our leader on the male side, and Deb was on the female side. And these two, they're veterans. They're sitting in Aditana, like they're not moving, and they're sitting on the smallest, the like tiniest little. You know, there's no cushions and extra pillows and extra pillows and extra pillows and extra pillows. You know, like how people were stuffing. You remember, sir? You remember how people were just like, boom, boom. Some people had a whole system of
Making
pillows. Like,
thrones.
yeah, they would like bring it in like a gang of pillows. They would put this on one side. They would put this on the other side. Then they make sure this side the foundation. Then
The
they pack
blankets.
pack the pillows down.
Uh,
To like then sit out like, okay, yes, I got it. But the leaders were just sitting on the most thin little layer, right? And they're sitting for hours, hours, right? So one of these times, you know, you get it in your head. Sometimes you get a concept in your mind, like a judgment. Oh, he's going outside, you know, right before we all go outside. because I guess he's going to his dormitory or his room, the staff room, to get warm and cozy before the next meditation. He's probably going over there to, to get warm and cozy before we come back out here. It's cold outside, it's freezing, it's snowing outside, right? So I got something in my mind of him walking out several times, like right before it's finished sometime. And then just like Sunrise said, one day I was just in the dormitory and I was walking around just pacing and just waiting for the next bell to ring for the next Dhamma meditation. And they're building a new section. They're building a whole new building for another meditation building. And I see one of the workers on top, and I'm just looking at one of the workers that are on top of this roof, and it's slick. Like there's ice, and they're shoveling ice off the roof, and they could slip and fall at any time. And I'm like, dang, we're over here meditating, but man, I wouldn't want to be that guy. Whoever that guy is, I wouldn't want to be him over there on top of the roof shoveling snow off the top, right? And then just like Sunrise said, like I was like, wait a minute. Like hold on. Is that is that who I think it is? It was our instructor. He never even went inside. He was already on top of the roof, building like the next meditation hall right after the meditation. And then right after that, he's got to go do another meditation. And I was like, oh my God. And if I hadn't seen him, I would have never known, I would have never known because he didn't do it for other people to know that that's what he did. He just did it. He just did it without any, yeah. So that really spoke volumes to me that this man would go out of his way to do extra, with no reward, like volunteering. So yeah, that was big time. That was big time.
So, if it's okay, I say, can I ask you guys one more question? It's like two
Yeah.
in one. Okay. So, I want to ask you guys first one is what has been the main way that you've seen in your own life as you've integrated back into the physical crazy world? What has been one of the main things that you've noticed the benefits of Vipassana has allowed for you to move a little more with ease? And then also, wait, it was just on my mind. Yeah. Oh, and then yeah, meditation itself, just the aspect of meditation. Why do you think it is so important based off of what, like I said, your own experience with it and the integration of it? So anyone can go.
I was waiting on Celeste. I thought
Okay,
Yeah,
Celeste
I
was
was
so
waiting on Celeste. I feel like I've been yapping, certified yapper 3 times platinum. I'm like, go ahead, Celeste.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
yeah, of course, of course. So since coming back from Vipassana specifically, through the practice of Vipassana and everything that was experienced in your two sits, what has been one of the main ways that you've seen Vipassana continuing to play out in your own life? Because, life is a moving meditation. But in the aspect of flowing with more ease, how has that shown up after the Vipassana retreats? And then overall, just meditation in general, for anyone that might be watching this who's new to meditation or wants to be quote unquote better at it or certain things, what does meditation mean to you? And how has that been a big part of you navigating through who you are currently in this reality?
So one of the pictures that he paints for us is a bird and its wings, and one wing is awareness and the other one is equanimity. And that was a big takeaway for me, is recognizing I feel like my first sit I grew in awareness, and my second sit I grew in equanimity. Granted, it's not so linear, but like for the most
Yeah.
part, when I look at bigger picture of like what I gained from each one and how different they were, yeah, the awareness is one thing. Like you can be aware of a lot of things, and the awareness of the swinging from craving and away from, or the swinging towards pleasant sensations and away from unpleasant sensations. So either craving or like being like resisting discomfort and pain. That awareness is one thing, and then to actually choose differently and like observe in the middle is another. And how I was able to do that in real life is being okay with watching myself not be equanimous. like that is, I think, is the most challenging part that I am still learning how to integrate, even after having sat and gone to this Dhamma centers 3 times, is
Yeah.
learning how to not beat myself up when I am still swinging. It's like
Yeah.
that's part of human life. And I've resisted that so much, because when I went to Vipassana and I experienced the like ultimate centeredness, it was like this like taste of God almost. And so then I got really excited and attached to that. And then when I left and I started swinging again, I was like, but, and I almost used it as a way to beat myself up. But for me, just even having that awareness of it was the takeaway of like recognizing that spectrum, and that even just that process in general was the takeaway. And for people that maybe have never meditated and are looking to get in Vipassana, I would say, one, practice Vipassana in small doses. Like Vipassana is like a marathon. Like, yeah, there are people that can jump into the marathon and be fine. Like, yes. And also, if you've never meditated in your life and you have some unresolved trauma or you're grieving, and then you go into the marathon, it might be more hurtful than helpful. And coming from someone who's like went through a lot of things and like sat with a lot of stuff and then had to deal with it after, it was like really challenging. And I'm grateful for the experience, but also just like be aware that it is a marathon, and there are like a lot of benefits to sitting with yourself in regards to growing in that awareness and that equanimity. And I recommend it for at least once in your life at some point. And also be careful with using meditation as a way to hide or avoid. Like it can be so like calming and regulating, when in reality maybe it's time to feel the pain instead of regulate yourself and stay in a calm state. And it's like sometimes we need to feel this stuff and let it pass us through us. And so finding that balance between like actually doing the technique. The technique is to observe it, not just to sit and let your mind go elsewhere or whatever. It's like to scan. So like follow the technique. And that's a lot easier said than done sometimes, and easier to do, I think, when like in a 10-day course, is to like have the instruction and have a group of people to doing it with you. So I recommend to work with other people, like meditate with your friends, like right before you eat or right before you go drive or right before you go hang out, like pull up your phone, do a 10-minute meditation and sit with your friends. And so I think community is a huge part of being able to integrate these like things that you learn from meditation specifically.
Thank you for saying that. I love that you said that and brought that out, because one of the main things is, in the end of the day, we're having a human experience, right? So we're always going to go through the wave and a roller coaster. That's the beauty of it. But, in us observing what is rising and then being like, oh, I'm not equanimous, it's not accepting, and that's aversion. And so it literally is it's a constant check to yourself that has to go on. Like, genuinely, I overheard a girl ask our guide that was there. They say that loving unconditionally, loving freely is without expectation of anything in return. And so she asked the leader, she was like, well, on one exception. And she was like, well, what do you mean? And she was like, well, what about my parents? Because I expect things in return from my parents, because that's my parents. And then and then the leader was like, well, like, what do you mean? And then she was like, am I wrong for wanting like certain things from my parents though? Because I feel like that loving isn't unconditionally, right? And so and the girl was very emotional. She started crying. And so what the guy said, she was like, accept that part of yourself, because you're trying to run from that, like, that part of yourself right there that still like feels that way and is in that pain. You're trying to just hop over it, but in actually alchemy of that is you having to accept it and realize in this moment you're not equanimous, and realizing, like, you don't go to a 10-day Vipassana retreat and everything's solved. It's a lifelong, you take Vipassana into your daily routine. This is something that is a lifestyle. This is something that you now that is part of your being. So I really like that you said that, you brought the awareness to the part of like accepting and really embracing that, sometimes you need to like express that sacred rage. Sometimes it is the meditation and the regulation, but sometimes it's the opposite end of the spectrum, where you need to go express that rage and you need to let the energy move through your body. Because once again, like, how he was saying, trauma stored in the body. Our body is literally like a library, and pages are always coming up to be turned.
Man, That's so powerful. Y'all are, yeah, we cooking. We cooking in here. It's a raw plant-based meal, but we still cooking. We still cooking. Okay, so
Let them cook.
right. Okay. One of my favorite takeaways, I mean, I'm gonna get deeper into it, but just in general, off rip, since my first one, the word equanimous. You know what I mean? Off rip, like ever since Vipassana, I'll be like, I must remain equanimous on this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like I love the word equanimous. You feel me? I feel like even when I'm giving people advice, every time it's been years, you know what I mean? But every time I say it, I'm like, come on, bro, you just trying to be who you trying to be, bro. You know what I mean? But okay, so
Anisha.
that's
Anitra.
Anisha.
Anisha.
Start chanting out this mug. And so
Sorry,
so
sorry.
for me personally, yo, I've noticed like I really very intentional with my responses to life, like because of Vipassana and the whole when you know how we mentioned it earlier, how he says, you know, if people bring you gifts of anger, gifts of happiness, whatever
Yeah.
the gifts are, the emotions or energy they're bringing to you, you have the choice to accept it or not accept it. And I've noticed since Vipassana, uh I'm just very, very observant in life and when things happen, especially out here in LA. And I'm in the community. I'm out here. I do so many different things. I come across so many different people
Yeah.
every day, every week. And I have so many different like crazy experiences, side eye experiences, and where it's like me 10 years ago probably would have snapped on you, bro. Like for real, for real. And then it's like, but I've just learned so much on how to just observe and not take on people's energy. And like, even when people, like I said, I deal with a lot of just strangers and people. And, you know, sometimes people come at you crazy, especially for whatever reason. And I've just really noticed how much I'm just like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a gift for me. You know what I mean? And I can enforce boundaries without absorbing the emotion, right? And so, I've noticed that, and just like with life situations, like crazy stuff happening, and then people are like, "Man, Sunrise, that's how are you even okay right now? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's this?" I'm like, this too shall pass. You know, I'm just like, it's all good. Like, um, for example, like yesterday I'm driving and I brought this up in my class earlier. I'm driving and long story short, I rear end somebody, right? So I rear end. It's like boom, and I'm like, and I'm, and I'm like, here we go. And so I'm like,
It's the real
off,
work.
right, off rip, like and this is side note. Me personally, I laugh as a response to a lot of different emotions and scenarios and stuff. And so off rip, as soon as I hit him, I'm like, oh, and then I feel a smirk coming on, and I'm like, no, 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 be serious, be serious. And I'm like, okay, got out. And I'm like, but still emotionally, I didn't sway at all. Like it was an accident, but I was still like, it was as if nothing happened. And so I'm just like, let's just do the routine, you know, the ID, insurance exchange, and so I'm doing it, and the guy, and I feel like that energy also helped the interaction because the guy got out. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" And I'm like, I was digging an eye booger out, and I looked up and looked down and tried to slam the brakes. It just didn't happen, man. I don't even got an excuse. It's my fault, you know. I have no excuse. It sounds silly. Let's
It
just
just
exchange.
happened.
Yeah, and then I noticed his energy kind of like calmed down a little bit because I was just like, yeah, bro, you know, yell at me if you want. You know, you got your nice BMW I just crashed into. You know, get it out. You know, but he didn't trip. He didn't trip at all. We're doing the whole thing, and I just was during that experience too. I was even thinking to myself like, man, what kind of work have I been putting in? Because I'm like not swayed at all. Like, and I'm even like looking around, like, I'm like trying to, and I wasn't like laughing at anybody. It was just like I was just at ease and at peace. And I'm just like, this happened and I'm glad nobody's seriously hurt. It wasn't a bad, like, I was probably going like 15, 20. It wasn't bad. And we exchanged information. And I don't know if you guys know, there's a trend online where uh, people drive past car accidents that like are in places that are like blocking the road. You know how car accidents are. They just cause a blockage, right? And there's a trend online where people drive past car accidents and then they scream out the window, "You can't park here." And it's just a trend. People, I don't know. The cars just be in the weirdest positions and they be like, "You can't park here." And so we're driving, we're in the middle of Sunset Boulevard. He's calling the police and stuff, and the police are like, "We're not coming." And I'm over here trying not to laugh because I'm like, why am I laughing? Why do I feel like, why am I trying to laugh? I'm trying to be serious for this, And then somebody drives by like, "You guys can't park here." And then I'm like, I just start cracking up. And I'm like, oh, we're getting trolled now. We're on the internet getting trolled. And I'm like, um, I was just like, my inner balance and inner peace wasn't swayed at all. And it's a situation to where like it can break you down, it can freak you out. You're like, oh no. And
Survival.
yeah, and I notice I have that type of response to life. Like serious stuff is happening. I could have just, like specifically that year when we went to Vipassana, it was a extremely tough year. I had broken up with an ex for a long time. I had to cut off one of my best friends. I got robbed. I got scammed. Like just so much stuff has happened, and that year specifically, and it just is like I just was find myself at the like this emoji, like you know what I mean, just like, and people are like, "Are you good? Are you all right? What are you doing?" I'm like, this is crazy, but I don't have any other response. I don't want to like I don't have any anger right now. I don't have any, it's shitty. I got to figure some stuff out, but like I'm just here, man. This is going to pass. This is a lesson. It's a blessing. There's something that I'm supposed to get through this. And so I felt like my response to life has drastically changed because of Vipassana. Like, yeah, yeah.
For sure. Man, I love that, man. Equanimity, bro. Equanimity. That's the word. That's the word,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so simple, but it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
But it
Mm-mm.
is simple. But it is simple.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely and thank you for these reflections. Thank you for these connections because through your reflections, you're also helping me process as well and just understand all the situations where I could have blown up and things could have gone out of proportion and but you remain equanimous and it serves you more in that situation. You don't escalate. It doesn't escalate to something that would even be worse, if you were to fall into despair and worry or if you were to go into just the heights of like blowing things out of proportion, but to stay in the center, to stay in your center. I love how the guy, he calmed down, he could have got angry and you just let him, get out what you need to get out. And he just, he started to simmer down because you simmered down. You were already simmered down, you know? So it wasn't like you had the fire there were no logs to put on the fire. There was no wood for the fire, for the flame to keep it maintained. It was like, it was able to come down to a nice level and you were able to work it out like human beings. So I love that, man. For me, I definitely would say Vipassana, even though I only did it one time with you guys, one time, it definitely reawakened my inner child. There were certain things that I used to do years ago that I was, made fun of for, or chastised for, or ridiculed for, or scolded for daydreaming. You know, you're a dreamer. Like, why are you always daydreaming? Why are you always imagining? Why are you always like conjuring up these things? And I mean, there were certain moments in Vipassana where there was no escape. We're doing it. I mean, we can say it like 10 hours a day for 10 days. It sounds okay when you say it, but when you're in it, like when you're in it, you're like, oh, this is what they meant, right? Like, this is what it means. So there were times where, like you said, Ariana, when you're on the operating table and surgery is being performed, and not only are you the patient on the table, but you are the surgeon, going in there, repairing and fixing things and putting things around. My mind, there were times where I went into survival mode to like cope with what was going on,
Yeah.
and I started to conjure things up in my mind, just involuntarily. Things just started to get conjured, and I reawakened the inner child in me that used to be on the bus and that used to be in the mind. And like, I used to live up here with no YouTube, no Instagram, no Facebook. Like, I was having adventures like in all these different galaxies and worlds. And that part of myself had been dimmed down. That light had been dimmed down for so many years. That creativity and imagination that creates magic, that had been dimmed down for so many years, but it reawakened in Vipassana, and to the point where it was like therapy for me. I conjured up like a therapy chair and an imaginary therapist, and I was telling her in my mind all these things that I was afraid to tell anybody, afraid to tell my parents, afraid to tell my partner, afraid to tell anybody. Like, nobody knew about these things. And I was talking to her as though she was a person, like in my mind, and it was therapy for me. I remember I was crying. There were tears that would come down certain Vipassana sessions, certain sessions when we would sit down, even though I knew like I was only supposed to observe the sensations. These things were going on, and it was like I couldn't ignore them. So when I got out, I just held that inner child within me. I like kind of hugged myself and was like, wow, you were just waiting on me the whole time. You never left. You never went anywhere. You were waiting on me. And like they say, age is just a number. No matter how much we age at any of the stages, like, it's still there. The little Ariana, the little Celeste, the little sunrise, like, they're still there waiting on us. Like, hey, hello. So that was my revelation, to go back to that and to understand that creativity, that imagination, like creating magic in my own way, to embrace that. And I started to do that in a major way. And that led to the production of so much. When I came out, I started writing books, I started doing all sorts of stuff, but it was from that Vipassana. Yeah.
Yeah, you about 80 books in now.
Ah!
I think it's
I
safe to say
remember
so.
paper now.
It's
I remember he told me, he said, Sunrise, I got bit by the written bug. I'm not going to stop writing no more. And I'm like, okay, bet. And I believed you. But then I'm like, wait, I keep seeing new books drop. I'm like, hold on.
Every
Hold
month.
on. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Oh man. So
um,
yeah, I have that to thank. That sit that we did. Yeah, it leveled up. We went into the hyperbolic time chamber, as they
Mhm.
say. Yeah.
So you integrated by reintegrating your inner child and using that dreamer aspect of you as a superpower.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
was a strength, and now you put it into action.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You got it.
Mhm.
I love to hear that.
Oh, I wanted to mention something. I wanted to touch on something that you spoke on earlier, Jerome, because I had a similar experience about the roommate.
Mm.
Um, so my roommate, you do feel like you're communicating, right? Telepathy or energetically, whatever, because you're living together, whatever. And I remember one night, and I bring this up because the point you had of you never know what anybody's going through,
Hmm.
right? And so this just was so, I still think about this to this day. So I had this roommate, cool dude. At the end of it, we found out we had so much in common, but I think it was like day 5. So for some reason, in both my Vipassanas, when I was younger, I used to sleep talk a lot, talk in my sleep a lot. And
Oh.
so for some reason on both my Vipassanas, after like 3-4 days, I noticed I'm starting to get that certified yapper. It's like it's got to get out some way. You feel me? And so I noticed that I would wake up in the middle of the night in conversation from my dream, like actually talking. And I'm like, oh, shh, shh, shh. You know what I mean? Like, but I remember this last time in 2022. I don't know what dream I had, but I woke up like mummy style. And I was like, oh shit. And I woke up like, huh. And then immediately my roommate woke up. It's the middle of the night. And we both like kind of screamed. It was kind of like a ah, and he and then I'm like, bro, you talk. Like, like bro, you talk. And then he's like, and then we both just, he turned the light on, then he turned the light off, and then we lay back down, right? I think I was having like some dream I was getting chased by something or something. And but so it was like a boom, boom, boom. So fast forward to the end of the thing and we're talking and I'm like, bro, my bad, bro. I know I might have been yapping in my sleep. And that other night, that was crazy. You feel me? Like, I didn't mean to scream. Like, I don't know what was going on in my head. And then he was like, yeah, bro. He was like, that scared the hell out of me. But come to find out, he had already been kind of on eggshells in the beginning with me as a roommate because he was in the army and he had just told me that he had been brutally attacked by one of his army peers that was black, right? And so he had been brutally attacked and in the army, and you know, it kind of traumatized him for life. And so, like he said, when you got up and screamed, you know, it kind of triggered him. And he was like, I was really scared in that moment. And I was like, oh, wow. And so, but he was like, but I could feel your energy and I knew you're like a good person. And it just was bringing up that trauma. And it was like I was dealing with that as well. And I was just like, oh, wow. And it just made me think like, wow, like I didn't know that. You know, to me, I'm just like, oh, ha, 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 you know, turn the light back off. You good. We sleep. And I'm like, man, he's like working. He's like rewiring an experience, you know? And I just wanted to touch on that. Like, yeah, you really, and that's in life. Like, you never know what people are going through, what they've been through. And like you said, because like you said, same like with the guy in your roommate. I didn't know. He looked like a BMX skateboarder, bro. He looked like, you know what I mean? He looked like he was in the army, kind of buff, you know what I mean? And so just seeing that, and it's just like, wow, like everybody has a lot of unpacking and work that they're doing, and you really just don't know what is going on in people. Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, we all have that universal inner child that's
Mm-hmm.
gotten multiple masks, stories, projection, shame, all of that placed on top of it. But it's all deep within us still. It will never go away, you know? It's the essence of what we are. You know, it's interesting you say that. I had a lot of really profound like experiences in my sleep. Like there was genuinely traumas coming up in my sleep. Like I was like, there's no escaping this. Like literally, like things were coming up in my sleep. And I'm not gonna lie, like I had a room alone. I was the only person that dormed alone at that too. And so that was even I was grateful for it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I got to really release in the ways that I needed to, especially at night. Man, I would get out the shower, close that door, and be like, oh, another day, like another day. You know, like nighttime, it would hit me so deeply because, you know, I think it's but someone kind of mentioned like the question in the beginning. I think it is very powerful the fact that in Vipassana we're doing it as a co-creative collection because truth be told, I don't think I would have been able to do it if it wasn't in that way. Because the fact that other human beings, you know, we are reflections of one another and see each other and one another. So just like you said, you know, when you open your eyes and see everyone sitting still, you're like, oh, okay, let me lock back in, you know? It's just the aspect of even the emotional part of it. Like you are very much witnessing and aware that other people are experiencing the same thing as you. So although you can't talk, although you guys are, you know, like I said, 10, 11 hours a day of meditation, it's very comforting to know that like I can do this because they're doing it. You know, it's that mirror. If it was a aspect alone, it would be a whole, you know, like if it was forced. If the intention going into it wasn't really like I want to get into the depths of my mind, of my cells, of these sensations and stuff, it would be a way different aspect. But I think, you know, even though it was a triggering moment in that, you see that so much medicine was in that for one another, even the aspect of not talking, like our essence and reflection of one another brings the medicine we need at all times. And so, you know, in bringing Vipassana into that day to day, you know, the heart and compassion meditation, these things, man, we don't realize how like this live alone could really make someone's whole day because we don't know what people are going through. You know, you just bringing that energy to the car accident, like in a day to day reality, the things that you say, the smile that you give, it can go such a long way, and you'll never even realize. I think that's the beauty of, you know, like serving, like you went and served, the aspect of just sharing even this information. Like I thank you guys so much for coming on here because I really wanted people to just get different perspectives. And you know, so many people have been interested, and it is a scary thing to go, you know, oh, I'm gonna duck off for 10 days and just go with myself. You know, self is for a lot of people a very scary thing because we have a lot within us, but it's also the most liberating thing because underneath all the sensations and all the, you know, the codes and stuff in our body that is held is that essence of where we originate from. And that's the whole journey, is yoking and unifying and remembering that God source essence, you know.
You know, can we talk about the post Vipassana bliss? Because it's a bliss.
It's a
I don't know,
high.
huh?
It's a high. It's a high.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
It's
high.
like you go through so much, like we all been saying, the trenches, and then he hit you on that day 9 with that. I made you with some of that bomb. Yeah, I can't even do the voice, but that bomb. He tell you it's the bomb. Put the medicine bomb. He said you just went through surgery. Then we're gonna do the medicine on it, and then you show the love, the meditation where you sending the love, and then you're like, I made it. You're like, I made it. Oh, you know what I mean? And then like everybody's glowing and like, yeah. I just wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
This is Celeste.
Go
Can you
ahead, Celeste. Go ahead, Celeste.
Yes, it was a high, and I will say the high also comes with this like hypersensitivity where it's like if you're not ready, like it could be overstimulating and overwhelming. Like I could be feeling a lot more than what I usually feel, and I don't know if any of y'all have experimented with psychedelics, but it felt like I was on psychedelics without taking psychedelics. Like I was
Yes.
just like I could see and feel things that I could not see and feel before if I was not on like substances, and it was just like, oh, so now I feel this high, and it can be a little lonesome, like if like, which is why I'm so grateful I sat with you guys, because it's like we went through this together, even if we have different experiences and different, like however long the high lasts and what that means for us and our perceptions of it is different, but we still did it together. So the high, it was lovely, and it's like almost a new tool to have in your toolbox to learn how to flow with. So yeah, it was amazing, and also an adjustment to learn how to live with almost that much joy and sensitivity and pain, like
Yeah.
overall. Yeah, I feel like when I first got out, though, seeing you guys, I think was the highest for me. Like still being in the center, and then like seeing you and being like, wow, we made it. And honestly, not even having to say anything, just like looking at each other, it was like we had telepathic moments where we were like, yo, yes, we did that together, and we made it, and we're stronger and brighter and ready to conquer. Almost like we have a mission, we're on mission, we in flow, like it's like we realigned with that like vision. And so to me, that was the highlight, and that was the high for me. It was like coming out, all of us feeling aligned and on mission, and really not even having to say anything. And that's something I feel super grateful, specifically with you guys, and now Ariana, and like anyone else that has sat, is there's an element of we know that we don't have to say as much. Like we can really just be in silence a little bit longer than the average person. And it's like that to me is the daily high, is
Yeah.
to have an extra pause. Yeah.
Pause, yeah, that little extra. You know, they say the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. You know,
Mm.
it's that
Or
that
extra.
just that little, that little extra. And I definitely agree with you. You know, it's just, you realize like I mean, I told you Sunrise, like afterwards, I felt like, nah, man, we're not friends. We're not friends no more. We're brothers. We're brothers.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
family. We're family. Like we are like, after going through that, you really felt that camaraderie. You really felt like, oh, we just went through something together. And Celeste, you and I mean, we've sat together after that. Like the sit continues.
Mm-hmm.
The sit continues. It doesn't stop in the Dhamma hall.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Ariana, it keeps going, it keeps growing. So, I mean, there's been times where I've needed to sit and breathe before doing something, before teaching qigong. And Celeste, you sat with me. Ariana, we've done breath work together. We've sat with each other. In the early rising. And sunrise. You're helping people. Through the moving meditation of trap chi. You're helping them breathe through so much. That's inside the body, that's locked inside. So now that since you've sat with yourself, you can help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's major. Yeah.
Sunshine.
Well, I was gonna say, I know that after I felt like a superhero. I'm like, after Vipassana, I'm like, I'm about 2 years away from levitating. I know it. I know it. I'm hella elevated now. I'm elevated. I'm about to, hold on. Am I still on the ground? Okay. I'm still here. Okay. I'm about to levitate. But no, it's funny. Going back to the not fear, but almost the like of grabbing your phone afterwards. And like, I remember specifically from my first sit, the Kelseyville one, because Kelseyville's like up in that mountain. You say you serve there, so it's like up in that mountain. And then I remember like I grabbed my phone, and then like for like 2 hours, I didn't turn it on that first sit, and I was just helping clean up around the center and the halls, and I was like, everybody's like turning their things on, and then you're just hearing a bling, bling, you know what I mean? You're hearing the little notifications from 10 days, and I'm like, I'm not doing mine yet. And because you're still riding that wave. Even the talking again is like, it's like steps back into reality, because it's like, even talking, you're like, oh wow, this is crazy. Like, I'm talking again. Like, and then I just remember like when we're going down the mountain, getting back to the highway, getting back to the city, because we were in North California, and then you start seeing the ads and the billboards, and you just all the stuff. And then you're like Celeste said, you're like hypersensitive. You're like, oh wow. And then I remember even turning my phone on. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. You hear all these notifications. And then I was hypersensitive to like, oh, how the phone is like it's like magnetic towards your energy. And I'm like, oh, I could feel it grabbing at me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for my attention. And so I just remember, just feeling super high vibrational, and feeling like, yo, this is something like we were talking about, like, this is a lifestyle, because this is like, I felt like it was the literal experience of bliss. I was like, this has to be bliss. Like, this has got to be what bliss is at the end, like towards the end. And he's giving that, those medicine bomb meditations. And I'm just like, yo, this is, and the crazy part is, it cost nothing and took nothing but releasing things. Like, this level of bliss from letting go of all the things. Like, it didn't, like, people, like, I'm sure there's millionaires and billionaires that would pay half of what they got to experience that level of bliss. When it was just like, all it was taking away the stuff
Mm-hmm.
and sitting in nature and literally just sitting with yourself. And it was like, wow, like that was free. Like that's something, you know what I mean? And so it was just really like life changing. And I remember just being like, yo, if I was like president or king of the world, like this would be like mandatory. Like before the age of 18, you must sit at least 1 10 day thing. Like I would be like, if I had any laws, that would be the law. And I genuinely believe if everybody in the world did at least one Vipassana, it would
Well,
be world peace like that.
it
I
was.
genuinely believe that. Like if we all did it, it would be because the internal the surgery is just so intense and yeah, and like I would feel there would be times when I would feel useless in the meditation, and I would know I'm like, oh, she's growing through it too. I would see you in the meditation hall too. And sometimes there was a couple times where it was just me and you in the early risings, you know, that 4 a.m. sit, that 4 a.m. sit when you wake up and then you gotta go, you take that walk out, you take that walk to the meditation hall, and then it's like, we here another day, and then we here, and then after the 4 a.m. and the 6, and everybody get up, and you just gotta still take a couple seconds to be like, good gosh, that was 2 hours of craziness. And yeah, and it's just like a whole bunch of acceptance and surgery and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, the bliss afterwards is crazy. And like you said, it's an adjustment. It's hard. So one of the questions earlier was like, how do you ease out of Vipassana? It's like it kind of hits you and you gotta like implement the practices, acceptance, equanimous. Like you gotta just flow with it because it hits you, you know, all the noise, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple things. One, Celeste mentioned the psychedelics. I'm telling you, Celeste, half my experience there, I was like, that internal DMT, oh, it's active. It's running, it's active, it's doing jumping jacks. I mean, I genuinely felt like I was on a mushroom trip. And it just once again pulls out the aspect of even us that we're still discovering it, because that's the whole journey of like the human experience. But like we are so full of pleasure, so much pleasure, so much bliss, so much magic. And yeah, you take everything away and just sit, stop running, like literally just sit. And so I noticed since coming back, I mean, the level of I just feel like unification, like connection to that like psychedelic like feeling with God. Like I feel like in so many aspects, because we're very conscious about like what we put in our body and on our body, even in the aspect of eating where it's not eating all these different things. But I mean, even in a psychedelic perspective, like I think about it and I'm like, I don't even think I desire to do that anymore. Just because I feel that naturally. My sensitivity to the nature, to the sensations in my body, I mean, it's all here and it's all now. And I think that's really just what these plants and things show us, because they are us. We are the fungi. And so even in the aspect of when you think of a psychedelic trip, you're gonna go through all the roller coasters, the fear, the love, the anger, the pleasure, all that. I mean, that's a day-to-day experience. If you really allow yourself to feel the experience, to really be fully present in it, instead of just running to the next temporary, not even fixed, but temporary stimuli. And so I'd say like even the integration and just coming out of Vipassana, I just noticed my patience and my acceptance is just so much more there. Like in the aspect of I could witness something that's happening right now and I'm like, it's literally gonna go away though. Like it's just gonna go away. Like my reaction to it doesn't help myself nor anything in this circumstance. Like, and I think it's one of the hardest parts for me is being able to navigate with different humans, honestly. Just because of that reason, once again you start to observe how many of us are like almost casting spells on ourselves, just like reacting and things. And so talking, when we first broke the talking fast, I felt paralyzed. Like my nervous system was not prepared for that. I mean, the second we got at the meditation hall, this one girl, she ran up to me so excited. She ran and she was like, I've been waiting to talk to you the whole time. Girl, where are you from? I looked at her and I was like this, and she was like, we can talk now. And I was like, no, like I don't know where I'm from anymore. Sorry. Like that answer changed within itself. Like I was paralyzed in talking again because once again that bliss you feel, just that connection, that internal guided system that turns on and emits those different everything. I mean, wow, but that the main way I said like it's just showed up day to day is just the aspect of the patience.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it dissipates fear on a whole nother level because in that aspect, you know, a lot of times when we're fearing, it's false evidence appearing real. It is us clinging to something and then going to future, past, this and that. Once again, once you sit and experience like that, or even just in different aspects, but you time, the losing of time starts to dissipate, you know, the aspect of, okay, I'm fearing that what the situation is going to last and I'm going to be stuck here forever. Well, that's impossible. Everything's impermanent. So what is there to fear? You know, like it really starts to dissect your mind in every decision that you make, even in the conversations that I choose to engage with and things. So it's been beautiful. It's a ride though, for sure. The overstimulation and things, the how easy it is to get sucked back in to the, you know, that world. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Was it the pregnancy fear girl?
Who ran up to you talking?
Oh no, it wasn't her. No, it wasn't. It wasn't her. It was another girl. The girl that was there. It was she actually came with her boyfriend though. And so she
Oh.
when I had been talking to her, you know, like I said, when she told me that she was scared that she was pregnant and her boyfriend was in the room with her and like it was hard for her to navigate through and etc. Um, man, it was really interesting. Like hearing her, like I said, you never know what someone else is going through on the other side of that. But like last night when we could talk, I talked to her and just hearing what she was experiencing, the different thoughts and things coming up. I mean, I couldn't even imagine if I was her. Like, if I was her, you know, you're sitting thinking like, oh, I might be pregnant right now. What can you do? There's nothing you can do. Like, just to sit with that fear. I mean, wow. I was like, that's a different experience for sure.
Good
Yeah.
for the baby. If you are pregnant, I'm like, wow, you're starting the baby off right. Start that baby off with a 10-day.
Straight up. It's funny that my friend who told me about Vipassana, she did that. She knew she was pregnant and went back for a 10 day. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I
I
never
love
we didn't
that.
get to talk about it because yeah, for whatever reasons. But yeah, it's if you like that, man, it's home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Once you
think
sit
that's
there,
powerful.
the Dhamma centers are like home on
Yeah.
earth.
I think that's powerful. It's like the beginning of the pregnancy. It's like a intentional death and rebirth to move more intentionally throughout the pregnancy, you know? I think that's actually very beautiful, very powerful.
And
Yeah.
I feel like in some essence, like we're all pregnant in a weird way, where it's just like we're processing a lot, and whatever we're like transforming and transmuting, like there's a birth that's happening within
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Jerome's case, I guess birth of books and like that, like you know,
Yeah, I
like
feel
one
like I'm
example of many, but yeah,
yeah,
birth of
like
visions. Yeah,
pregnant with ideas, you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
pregnant with possibilities, pregnant with potential, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Because, like, what do you do with all this information? You know, it has to be transmuted into something. It has to be created into something. And even in that aspect, you know, the more that you actually spread the information and like make art into it, the more is coming to you. It's that ever, you know, you're pouring out the bucket and more is coming in. That's that flow.
Yeah.
Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for saying that because that's also part of the high. And by the way, my phone's really low battery, so if it cuts out, it just ran out of battery. But the post high and dealing with the overstimulation, I found myself going to a spiritual psychosis because it was so overwhelming. And what I learned later was this spiritual psychosis. There's so much information like that you're taking in, and you're not outputting enough. So when you're talking about like actually using that energy, it's really important to teach and like create and get that energy flowing. It can't just be like a taking in everything and then not outputting it because then it's too much.
Yeah.
It can become really challenging. So I guess
Yeah.
that's part of it. Could be part of the post high, and I thought about that too. When you're like everybody just needs to go to Vipassana like at least once when they're 18, I'm like, well, but make sure that they are like, you know, they have tools to deal with the aftermath, because as someone who went through that, who didn't like, and it was really intense and it took me along, and if I could like create some kind of what I wanted to do is like create a program for before and after Vipassana, because it's like, yo, are you aware that this is a marathon? Have you ever sat more than 10 minutes? Like, what does that look like? And then the aftermath of like, hey, like, what does it look like to go back to whatever space you're in? And are you continuing the practice? And like, what does that look like to integrate in your daily life? Like, if they've never done like substances, and this like heightened sensitivity is completely new for them, they may not know how to deal with it. And it could be re-traumatizing if they were grieving or like had unresolved trauma like before their sit. Like, it could be re-traumatizing. So it's what you said is like teaching and using that energy for if you don't know what energy you want to use it for service. That's all I'll say. If you don't know what you want to create, what you want to teach, whatever it is, then use it for service.
That's a gem. We got to pin that one. That was good. That was good. That's a gem.
Yeah, it's like we have to. I wish I would have understood that years ago, because I feel like when I first started diving really deep into just surrendering to like the calling, the journey, right? I try to do everything in a mind perspective. I'm like, oh, change my mind, change my mind, change my mind. But there was way too much up here. It wasn't until I started to get into the body, and like that's when, you know, like we have to connect, because at the end of the day, like, yes, we are experiencing itself through this reflection, right? But we are in a car. We're in a suit. We're in a spaceship. And so we have to be able to also nurture and take care of that just as much, because that determines how much, like, it's the mind body soul connection, you know. So yeah, I think I love that you said that, and I think it's beautiful you even thought about creating that, because now looking into it, I know that when I go into it again, I definitely plan on, you know, maybe getting an Airbnb or a hotel or something and just sitting by myself for a few days, you know, going to a spa, getting a massage, because it really is hard to hop right back into this world. And everyone's asking you, like, how was your experience? What happened? Everyone's trying to talk to you, like everything. Like, I think it's integration in everything we do, whether it's the psychedelics, whether it's Vipassana, whether like anything that we do, it needs integration, because that's where the wisdom is actually soaked in and embodied. You know, it's not enough for us to just go through it. Oh, it's like intellectually, no, you know, we got to finish the experience.
I made sure of that when I asked them to sit, and I was planning everything. I was like, no, we have a couple days before and a couple days after, and it was a place with a sauna, and I was like, yo, we're gonna lily pad it up until we get back to our places, because when I was in Spain and like thinking about hopping on a train right after, it was like, no, lily pad, Airbnb. And even then after like 2 days in Airbnb and then going on the train, I had my very first panic attack on the train. And it's just like, yo, sometimes you can make lily pads and do all the things, but you're still gonna like go through your own process and whatever that looks like, and that could still mean a lot of pain. Vipassana doesn't take away all the things, and just because you go up high, like, doesn't mean that you're never gonna have low. If anything, like, the deeper the pain, the deeper the love, like the like spectrum almost expands, where it's like, you can go that high, and also you could go really low, and just to recognize you're the one observing and experiencing it, like, just to have that awareness around it. But it can be a lot. So being intentional about the in-between spaces, and that's why I mentioned earlier of like, if you're in between transitions, and that's a great habit that I learned from Vipassana, is to transition more intentionally. So even if that means like, I said, like, and also using habit stacking of like, hey, every time I get in my car after work, I'm going to place my hands on my heart and take 3 deep breaths before driving. Or like, before I go into my house after work, I'm going to do a 10-minute meditation and just like leave work out here and calm my body down, and then go into my house. And it's just having those pauses. It has been so like life-changing for me, and that was something that I took away from the Vipassana in general. It was like, not only the Airbnbs right after the sits, but also just in general, like taking those extra pauses between transitions.
We have a beautiful reflection. She said, how did she get through the panic attack?
You know, I actually it was so interesting, because I was observing my body process it, and I realized like over time, because you best believe this was not my last one. This was the beginning of many, and that this is why they're like very like strict about like applications and what you write and what's your previous history with trauma and all the things, because they're like watching out for you to not like leave more traumatized. Like it's a lot, and so how I dealt with it was I stayed in observation. I was watching the sensations and recognizing that it was just energy passing through me instead of like letting the panic get to me of like, wow, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. It's like, no, like there's just a lot of energy moving through my body. And so I just let myself cry it out, and I ignored what other people were thinking of me. I just let myself cry on the bus. And I knew, and you know what's cool about Vipassana and what I learned my very first sit is when I was like every time we would sit, I would go for a walk. And when I went for a walk, I would release, I would cry. The thing though, is the new skill that I built was when I was releasing without any attachment, just like letting emotions flow through me, these little insights came in as to what I was releasing. It's almost like I knew, oh, this is from my childhood, and this is from blah, 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 and this is from the relationship, and this is my attachment to that. They would just like come in like little insights as I was crying. So since I gained that like perspective of what happens when I actually surrender to the pain, it's actually became more, there was more understanding about it once I surrendered to it. So when I was having the panic attack, I surrendered, and as I was surrendering, I knew what I was releasing, and I had already known like why I was panicking is because of where I was going and the situation that I was walking into. Like I already knew, so there was a deeper acceptance of it. So I guess that's and that's what I've learned over time, because it's been going on for years at this point, and I no longer see it as a panic attack. I see it as a potential during the panic attack. What people would usually call a panic attack is when you're thinking you're scared you're gonna die. But for me, after like practicing Vipassana and learning how to integrate it, the thinking I'm gonna die is kind of dissipated, and more so it's like, oh, I'm feeling a lot of feelings, I'm breaking down. So, and with the breakdown, when I like allow myself to break down, it eventually turns into a breakthrough. So instead of labeling it as a panic attack and thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, I'm gonna die, this is forever, like it's now it's like, oh, I'm breaking down, and that's human, and I'm gonna let the energy move through me, and the more I resist, the more it's gonna be like challenging. So just let it happen. And sometimes the insights come in, zero attachment if any insights come in or not, and then eventually the breakthrough happens. The insights eventually come. It could be days later or it could be during, but the key part is just surrendering and not thinking, like getting lost in the idea that there's something wrong with you. Like I think that's where the panic comes from. It's like there's
Okay.
We lost
Pick up
her.
the phone.
But
She
she got
dropped
this
hella gems.
right.
She dropped hella
Man.
gems, and then it
Well,
was like, boom, boom.
touching on what she was gonna say though, okay, we've heard this so many times, like be the eye of the storm or just ride the wave. But on a real deal aspect, Vipassana showed me this, because even our body, it's more water than anything. Water is the longest living thing on this. Like, water, we know the essence of water. Our thoughts and our emotions, our feelings, all of it is just a wave. Like, yes, we're gonna have moments where we're going through that big breakdown, that big, it crashes, but then it just goes right back to neutral, and it's gonna come again. And some waves are bigger than others. Some are like this, but in the end of the day, it's all neutral. And the aspect of even Vipassana, I mean, like I said, the reason why I feel like it is almost like an everyday psychedelic experience is genuinely because you start to realize that you're not the wave. Like, you're the whole ocean, so you're observing the wave. So you're like, oh, my incarnate, my human is reacting to this, is experiencing that. And we already know why she is, because that originates. So let her release, let her body have that expression, but we already know why. We're just going to nurture her and let her have. But it really puts you in the consciousness of a conscious observer, rather than going through this experience like, no, I am experiencing this. I am this emotion. I am this. No. It's moving through the vessel that I am residing awareness of.
Yeah.
It's a shift.
Beautiful reflections. Beautiful reflection. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
This has been amazing.
Thank you guys
This is a
so
powerful
much.
build.
This was
We gotta
so
save
weird.
this one.
Yeah, I'm posting this for sure. My highest desire is that as many people as possible can reach this. That it inspires somebody to go take their own sit, or even if just implant more meditation into their daily routine and just prioritize that connection, you know?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
thank you for this. Thank you for this,
Yes.
Ariana.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you. This is
guys.
a
So
great
much love
build. I
to you
love it.
guys. Yeah,
Yes.
so much
Yes.
love. And thank you as well for sitting, for taking the journey of just allowing yourself to explore what's within and go through the whole roller coaster of it. You know, you guys are now lights and shining stars in this world affecting so many. So thank you for the trap chi. Thank you for the
Mm-hmm.
daily chi gong. Just thank you for
Mm-hmm.
the light that you bring because I love it and everyone else does. So I love you
Yes.
guys.
Yes. Love and light. Thank you.
All right.
Yes. You guys have a
Blessings, y'all.
beautiful
See
day.
y'all in the ethers telepathically.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
As above, so below.
Bye.